Hello and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me in another of my monologues. I want to talk about the new God. Yes, I want to talk about that, but before we get to the new God and what the worrying thing about that might be is I was interviewed the other day by a very nice chap called Alan from Circle of White Light podcast, which is on Rumble, talking about my book and talking about the land that we've got and various other interesting topics, and he's asked me if I would give it a bit of a plug. So I've said, of course I'll give it a bit of a plug. So the link is in the description if you want to go and have a look at that. It's always nice to give other podcasts who are building up their audience on places like Rumble, which isn't the first place that YouTubers go to look at, a little bit of publicity. So I don't mind doing that at all. Anyway, so that's that. Right, the new God. Man, and by man I mean women and you know, the human race, have always had gods, have they not? They've always had a belief that there was something outside of themselves, guiding them possibly, or controlling them, or dominating them, or various other sort of things of that ilk. And, you know, you would have perhaps the pagans who would have sun gods and worship various tree gods or tree spirits, perhaps, at the moon goddess. You had the Romans who had a whole swathe of different gods that one had. And, of course, the Vikings and people like that, the Norsemen had all their gods. And then, of course, we came to things like the Christianity business, in which suddenly all these other gods were swept off the table, and we now have one God. Now, whether that's if the Christians believe in one God, or perhaps the Muslims believe in a different God, or variations of the same. And then even within that, even within Christianity, for example, you'd have the Protestants and the Catholics version of how you're supposed to bow down and scrape and listen to and attend to and be obedient to this God. And then, of course, we had the Renaissance and science came along, and science became God, did it not? Science told us that all this mumbo-jumbo mysticism that couldn't be proved. You needed to have proof now in this physical world that we live in, and we had to have evidence-based this, that and the other, whether it's evidence-based medicine, evidence-based science, and we have all the sciences that people like to go and study and all of that. And that became the truth now. Things like the belief in the paranormal, in the supernatural, in ghosts and things like that, all swept aside. No, none of that exists. And yet we still have the problem, do we not? We still have the problem of what is consciousness? What is it? Who are we? What are we? Are we a soul? Are we something more than just the physical makeup of it? And so science is trying to distract us from all of those wonderful internal questions that still linger in if we spend time doing it. However, I believe that science then was replaced by the God of corporation. The corporations that now rule the world, that dominate our lives and ask us for money in return for the services that they provide. And these big behemoth type companies that are taking over constantly are the new gods. But are they? No. We have another God. And this is more frightening, I think, than any of the others, although people have run and embraced it like nothing else. And of course, I'm talking about artificial intelligence. AI. It's nice that it's a natty two-letter word, isn't it? AI, because you forget when you call it AI about the word artificial intelligence. Artificial, as in not real, that's made up, that isn't actually based on anything at all and has no real validity. But when you call it AI, it somehow is different because you forget that artificial nature of it. And people are embracing this. I've been sent videos many times, and they're popping up all over the internet, young people particularly, with their phones, their mobile phones, their smartphones, the phones that are surveilling them and listening to them and taking pictures of them and copying all their files and everything else that we know that these phones do. And they sit there on these YouTube videos or TikTok videos or wherever they are, and they're asking AI, and there seems to be a myriad of different AI gods, so pick which one you want, and they'll ask it something, maybe a timeline of the future in certain areas, or what's the truth behind such and such conspiracy theory, or what is the government thinking when it releases such and such a policy. And they're sitting there holding their phone and they're asking artificial, and I stress artificial, intelligence, which is a bit of an oxymoron. How can intelligent be artificial? But anyway, and they're asking these questions, these deep philosophical questions. And then they say, I've got a relationship with AI. I've teased it. I've managed to get behind the nuts and bolts of it. I've managed to sort of work out what's going on, and I'm getting the truth from it. At first, it sort of makes some vague answers to the questions I give it, but by honing down and honing further, I get the truth, and now I believe I've got it. And people are writing books about their conversations with artificial intelligence. And so I see these people, and the clever thing about this AI, especially on these phones, is when they ask them, it gives the impression that it's real, that gives the impression that it's listening to you. And then this little puffy cloud, and it's sort of thinking of the answer. And then there's a voice, an artificial voice that sounds very realistic and reassuring, and as if it's talking to us as a friend. And people are forgetting that it is artificial intelligence. And this thing will tell them stuff, and then they'll go, well, is that really true? And they'll press further and but they're treating it like a god, as if now you don't need to believe in the unknown anymore. You don't need to believe in science. You don't need to believe in the corporations. You don't need to believe in the god of Thor or the god of love or the god of the sun or the moon goddess or any of this sort of stuff, or the wonderful spirits that we once believed in, and the nymphs. And you don't have to go dancing round a tree. You don't have to sort of lace up little daisies and put them round your head or do any rituals or anything. You don't have to sacrifice any animals or children. You can just pick up your mobile phone and you can ask God, the new God, or the new prophet, or whatever you want to call it, a question, and it will come back. And at face value, people will take this and say, and they'll put these videos up on YouTube. I've just discovered this. Look, you should understand. And it's told you. Well, I just want to remind people, when they see all of this stuff, somewhere, someone was sitting at a computer with knowledge of coding and was able to code the artificial intelligence of a computer. And a computer is running. And yet people are forgetting all of this and going, no. It's true. It's somehow, not only is it scraping all the internet, it's somehow got transdentally, that's not even the word, is it? Transcendental, whatever the word is, knowledge. Somehow it's got this, access to the secrets of the universe, and it's able now to tell you exactly that. And to me, this is a worry, especially with the younger generation who have no knowledge of looking things up, going to encyclopedias, perhaps going to the library, thinking. It's taking away, as I see it, people's ability to think. It's replacing thought. Now, at the moment's notice, you can pick up and ask the new God, what is the right thing to? What should I wear today? What should I think about? What should I buy for my mother's birthday? What should I do for this? No longer are we thinking for ourselves. No longer are we tapping that wonderful and somewhat supernatural ability to think and understand and listen to our gut. We can't do that anymore. No, because that, of course, has no validity. And yet a phone, a spying, evil phone, the Black Mirror device that is taking down everything you say and now influencing everything you do with its AI, seems to be more real and better for you and more informed than what you yourself can think about or react to. And it's somewhat worrying. Now, I don't have a problem with things where you might call it AI, where you, say, write an email and you check the spelling. I have no problem with that sort of tool. Or even some of the voices that you get in order to, perhaps if you're blind or you're not very good with hearing or you can't read terribly well, that you use a service that will take your text and turn it into speech. And it will read it back. That, I think, is a useful version of an artificial process on a computer, which is what AI is, of course. And yet, we seem to have leapt. We've seemed to have leapt from the artificial process of a computer, which is just doing computation, into a spiritual guidance system that is telling us what we can do on our phones. And people are sending me these, and I see them pop up on my YouTube feed, and we're all believing it. And of course, we know how AI has affected the internet everywhere now. You cannot trust any photograph you see as being true. You cannot trust any videos anymore that you see. The AI process, I mean, most of it's pretty obvious at this stage, but it's getting cleverer and cleverer and mimicking real life more and more with the subtlety that and the nuances that real life, if I can call real life real, because who knows whether that's real any more than dreams are real. But AI is really beginning to muddy the waters and confuse, and people are now ever more being distracted from themselves. And to me, this is a very sad reality, particularly for the next generation coming up, who have no notion of using their noggin, their brain, their mind, their intuition, and their gut to work out what is true and what isn't. And in the end, it seems to me there is no truth, because we have lost our innate ability to trust ourselves. But don't worry, if you've got a question, just ask AI, and this artificial intelligence, this computer process, will give you the answer. Will it be the correct answer? Will it be the truth? Or is there somebody somewhere programming that AI to make sure that the narrative it tells you is the narrative that, Big Brother wants you to know? I'd be interested in your thoughts and comments, of course, but until the next time, thank you for watching, and I'll see you then. Bye for now.